Hi folks, Don and Bob here. It's time to drop in on Mekele Station again. This is episode 3, and a lot of the time spent during this block was fussing with the research and the problems that arose because I was fussing with the research. So last time, at the very end, I showed you a shot of the dig depot, whatever the heck it's called, where your teams go out to do the excavations. This is actually a little bit of footage of putting it into the game. The park looked to be doing pretty well, as you can see from the chart, so I decided it was time to take advantage of some of the unlocked research and put some of the male animals into the various habitats. Here's the Tycosaurus as an example of the choices for that. I did not start them as small babies like the females, but I could not get enough money to put them on as fully adult animals to go with the adult females. And that was the first indication I was having trouble. So I had to be careful watching to cut the research back whenever the dig teams met bad conditions, any chance I could, or just flat out lay off the research. Getting the males in, the next step is to set up a nesting area for the animals. For the Crytivo, that went down in the lower left-hand corner. Now, I didn't put as many nests as I had females, in part to keep the numbers down. My plans for adding additional animals, which I hoped would get me out of that situation with the financing, was to, this is nests going in. Anyway, I had intended to put Dilophosaurus as the next animal in part to draw away from that crowd in Prehistoric, but the excavation conditions were poor. So I looked around for something else I could do, and that turned out to be Dilophosaurus, so that became the next animal. And it also focused the research, and the research got done focusing on the plants that the Dilophosaurus would need, because part of the plan for this park was to have the animals beyond the first have paleo foliage, and that all had to be unlocked. Also, I wanted to make sure I had the strong enough fence for the animals. Both Dilophosaurus could have gotten away with the Dilophosaurus could have gotten away with this phase 1 fences, but the Dilophosaurus needed phase 2, so that was a change in the direction. But my plan going forward was also then to move on to a baby sauropod and build the park while the sauropod was growing. But I already knew that there could be a problem because I had a lot of plant eaters, that would only get worse with the sauropod. So I wanted to set up the internal park's production facilities, and plants were a high priority for that. You will notice that the first warehouse in the game is up beyond where the Dilophosaurus habitat is, in a services area, and it was for plants in preparation for that sauropod. However, the dig excavations continue to be troublesome. They didn't want to time their good conditions for when I was ready for them. And a lot of the research was also going to part of the park services and making sure I could get all those things in place. To get the storage facilities, there's a big hump in that you have to get all the produce facilities done because they all pass through the multi-service produce station, it requires all 5 of the produce stations to be researched before it can be built. It also prioritized for me getting the other thing that would save money researched, the add-on after cutting the, that's the word I want, the upkeep costs. Those, I think, are 2 very, very important things to research early on in the game. So you saw a new path branch up between Crytivo and Plesiosaurus, and you can see me doing terraforming now. This is in preparation for setting up the Dilophosaurus habitat and other things to come. And the paths are going deeper now to where they will actually interact with the exhibit that we're building today. And as one often does, I was having trouble with the ground being flat enough for the paths to do what I wanted them to do. So that path just went in is for the future, and you see me putting a barrier across it to keep guests from wandering down there. This is a technique I've used a lot just to, not get the guests all tired and hungry and overwhelming facilities as they grow. So that looks like it's ready for more work, except for the viewing area. And my plan was to have this be slightly off the main path into the Jurassic section. Our animal in question is an early Jurassic animal. And finally got the paths more or less where I wanted them, and just needed to tidy them up a little bit. And they just kept fighting me a lot. And I had to be very careful on the budget because we kept skating down to the red there. It was a continual problem, and it's something you need to keep an eye on. So that's a plant facility going in. I'm anticipating it'll take more than one to keep sauropods happy once they get in. I did some sort of practice runs at this park concept, and I learned that without getting sufficient warning, you can overload what your loading bay can give you in the way of plants, so that keepers get to the point where they can't fill feeders. So it really makes sense to get ahead of the game. The produce facility has a capacity for storage, so that gives you a little bit of head up while you're unlocking the other ones beyond the plant producer, which was my first choice, of course. Now this is the Dilophosaurus exhibit going in. I wanted a sort of style of habitat that zookeepers call a ha-ha, where the terrain is low where the guests are, and then it rises so that eventually the animals are more or less on a level or even higher than the guests. For real animals, that matters because some animals get stressed out by not having a height advantage against the crowds of humans in the park. So you can see I use modular pieces to get a nice smooth inside portion, and the fence across the viewing area is set back from the edge as well. This is all separation techniques, using a lot of rocks to cut the edges of the habitat and hide fences. Using not the new sedimentary rocks, but the rocks colored for a more deserty environment. You can see me doing some expansion planning there, and the park is rising in its ground back there, so pretty much everything has to be cut in. But also giving the opportunity to drop the ground there time thinking about putting in a building for the animals, which I still haven't done. But it also gave me a way to give them a little cave in the back of the habitat there. It's not something you're seeing being built yet, but it will play ultimately off this drop in the highest portion of the exhibit toward the back, taking advantage of that to give them a little cave. So rocks going in first this time, being a mostly deserty sort of environment. That seemed to make sense to me. Also, the elevation changes played into that. And time to go check on Dilophosaurus and get it built. With rocks in and starting to put some foliage in, there's not going to be a water feature. I'm going to give them their water with pans. You saw the gate go in earlier in the previous habitats, all in the hopes of getting it ready for them when the animal was finally ready to go in. This was still in the phase when I hadn't unlocked the chromatic control, so I ended up with two different skins for the animals, something I will be correcting later. We're getting toward the end of this video as I'm putting in the guest features, and here's an overview of the whole habitat before the cave I mentioned got put in. So there's our animal, and I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you back in another one. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you're liking this stuff, and if you like this particular video, there's youngster. If you like this particular video, hit the like button, please. I'd like to have some comments from you folks. That helps too. Till next time, you all take care. Be kind to each other. Dino Bob signing off.